Hey, 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 it's episode 781 of today's Antidote. Ding, ding, ding. That's right. It is Discoveries of the Week. That's right. We are going to figure out what we've learned this week about restarting on your pathway to success. We've had some really wild discussions. We've had some real discovery, and I can't wait to go through it with Tom and hear what you have to say in the comments down below. All that and more on today's Antidote.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, Tom.
Good morning, Bob. How are you?
I'm good, but you kind of threw me there. I thought I forgot to say something. It was a slow edit into the opening, and I was like, did I forget something?
It's just a dramatic pause, that's all.
it was dramatic. It caused me to lose a little sleep. I was like, I think I said everything. Yes, I'm certain of it.
Just a pause. That's all.
Just a pause. No adjective assigned to it. I got
Right.
you. Okay.
I was contemplating. And I did what I didn't want to do. I
What's
asked you
that?
how you were. I said, how are you?
Why don't you want to ask me?
Because then I'm going to force you to make a judgment.
Oh, good point. Oh, we're going to go there early today.
I just was thinking about that. I did a whole TikTok on it yesterday. Did you see my TikTok?
I did not. I had a networking thing, and I did not. It's on my list this morning, and I'm trying to watch less social media.
Okay.
And it's hard to, even if it's business social media, it's hard to look at business social media and not see personal social media.
Okay.
And it's interesting. The evenings when I don't look at social media, I sleep better.
Probably has to do with screen time, that blue light or whatever it is.
Screen time and the content of what people are posting.
Okay.
No, not anything inappropriate. Just, you're seeing a sanitized version of people. You don't get a lot of people on Instagram or what else? Facebook or TikTok going, boy, I had a horrible day today. It was the worst. You only get the amazing things.
Fair.
And research shows that causes you to start to believe that you're inferior because you don't have these amazing things happening in your life. And, the discussion we have around adjectives, this applies to it perfectly.
Well, it applies to it. I don't know. Perfect.
It applies to it. It's going to be a long day, folks.
Just getting you ready. That's all.
So go ahead.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Time to shift. Bob's getting nervous a little
frustrated bit. Is the word.
Oh, he's getting frustrated. Oh, we really need to move on. Welcome to today's Antidote, our daily broadcast and podcast. And it's Friday. So every Friday, Bob and I share our discoveries of the week. And this week, we've been talking about pathway restarts, which I think Bob sort of mentioned. It's been an interesting week. I think we were a little all over the place Monday trying to define it. And then I think Tuesday and Wednesday, we found a little more clarity. And so it'll be interesting. I'm curious about what Bob's going to share as his discovery of the week when we get there.
Me too.
It's really going to be an interesting show. And so, of course, as we're going through our conversation, we welcome your thoughts and ideas because we know that it'll add value to it as well. So please feel free to share your value, your discoveries of the week, because it might be just exactly what someone else is looking for. Before we dive into that conversation, though, each morning, Bob and I share our celebrations. So, Bob, what are you celebrating today?
I'm going to celebrate that I was on a call with some people yesterday and I had shared something with someone and they were really kind in describing how much it had helped them do something. And it was a process and I was just real open about what I was doing. And this person really took it and ran with it. And gave all the credit for what he considered success to me. And that if Bob really saved me a lot of time, I wouldn't have done this. I wouldn't have done this. He showed me these things, and clearly, he said the highest praise, which was he's a born teacher. Because I walked him through this process and said, here are the things that I got stuck on, and here's how I overcame them. And he just took it to heart and really applied it, which is great. When you talk about sharing value, I think it's one thing to share value. It's another thing when you share your value and you see someone take it and run with it.
I would agree.
So I celebrate both his willingness to discover what I have learned and apply it, and also the fact that he took the time to point it out to a group of people that matters to me. So it was really nice to hear that in that context.
I like it.
Yeah. How about you?
I am going to celebrate that.
Hey, hold on a sec. May I? I like it would be a judgment. Oh. I told you yesterday, we had this discussion. If we're going to go all in, we're all in. So while Tom thinks about this, let me explain what's going on, folks. Tom has been, for, I don't know, maybe a year, it might even be 18 months, very, very careful about judgments in his own life. And so he has brought that to me more and more and said, if I say, oh, that was a great meeting, or, oh, that was a great show, it'll be like, well, that's a judgment, And so we were talking about yesterday, and we had a pretty big discussion about how there's a value to not judging things. And so we kind of laid down the gauntlet yesterday at about, I guess 8:45 a.m., 7:45 a.m., where we agreed that we were going to be all in on this idea of not having judgments. So I'm now starting to get it, because I'm looking, because it's being scrutinized to me. And if you've listened or watched the last, 80 episodes, there have been at least 40 times where I've made a judgment and Tom said, well, that's a judgment. So I'm pretty sure like and dislike is a judgment.
Yeah.
Do I need to pad longer while you think about it?
No. I and I think I said this to you yesterday as well, is that judgment might not be the correct word, because I think that it's almost the qualifier, and maybe that's it, is that we start qualifying things, and I don't think, and that's where the adjective comes in. Like, you can say, I like that. I didn't like that as much.
What if I can give you some language that I think is what you were trying to get to, and I'm not sure because I'm not in your head, but that resonated with me. That's not judgment. That's, I took that in, that provided value to me. I relate to that, but there's no judgment. Yeah, I could tell you that, my cat died last night, and you'd be like, wow, that resonates with me, that because I had a cat that died a couple of years ago. I know what that's like, right? No judgment in it resonating, but liking it is giving, because if you said, I dislike that, what would I have said? I would have immediately gone into, oh, really, Tom?
Right.
So that's why I know it's a judgment.
Yes. And here's what I would say is, I think it's also feedback for you. I think, and I don't know. That's an interesting point.
Okay.
That a little bit.
Okay.
Because I think,
wasn't what you really were saying that I took that in and it gave me something?
Yes, it adds value.
Okay.
It impacted.
Okay, so that would be it resonated with you.
Sure.
Which doesn't have the positive or negative. That's just
right.
That is, you
like
said something and I took it in, and something inside me was affected by it, whatever that is. Now I see feedback in a new way. Now I see your relationship with the group you're talking about better. Now I see that you're more this, you're more insightful, whatever it is. But it's not that judgment.
Yeah. Well, and I
had a therapist who would say that to me. And there was never a judgment from that person. It was always, Bob, that resonates with me. And I'd say, oh, really? What resonates? And she would say, I really like how you were able to take this situation and apply it to what you're doing. I think that's so powerful for you. So I never knew if she was, you're amazing or you're awful. It was just, it landed for me. And if I spoke to a group and someone said at the end, boy, that really resonated with me, that would be high praise to me. Even if it affected them negatively, like this,
had a different effect on them than you thought.
Correct. Does that make sense?
It does. I think that's and I
wonder if anyone else cares about this discussion besides you and me. That's the really interesting part of this.
Well, I think it's an interesting concept. I think that it's so much about how we dictates how we feel. Me saying that I like that idea is judging your value and imposing that on you, so that now that's more if you're willing to take it as feedback, be like, oh, okay, and then let it go or learn from it. And that's why I guess I was always initially was thinking about the words that we use about ourselves and how impactful that is. And yet I think the words that others use around us or about us is as impactful as the words we use ourselves. Sometimes I think we can get less stuck with the words others use sometimes, and other people get more stuck, differently stuck.
Well, we give so much weight to words.
We do or we don't. That's, I think, the interesting thing.
And we even give a lot of weight to how someone says something, the tone of voice. Like there have been people in my life where good morning could be enough to know that this is going to be a long day. And other people where good morning every single day was the same chipper good morning. And it was like, I would wonder with this one person, she would never, ever convey any sense that anything went wrong in her life. In fact, I used to joke to other people, like, must be great to have all your bills magically pay themselves, and your roof never leaks, and they would just laugh because this person was just always upbeat and always every single thing. And if you were having a bad day, she just practically, it was a workplace, so she couldn't hug you, but she would like sit with you for a minute and just be like, Bob, I'm so sorry this is happening to you. It pains me deeply, while she's smiling. And it just, and I know she felt it. I'm not saying she didn't, but it was just that thing. And so people really started to open up to her. I worked out the place where I worked. I had lunch at the same time she had lunch, and a couple other people, and they would come into lunch and she was the mother hen, and they would just unload about everything. And she would just be chipper at the end of it. And then someone would come in and they'd buy a new car, and she'd be as excited about that. And and I think you never got a sense of what was going on in her life. And I think that's the other extreme. But what I would say for a business owner or a leader is there's something to this. Because if you say at a meeting that I like your idea to one person and you don't say to the other 6, you've created a challenge for yourself. Even if you didn't mean to do it, you've done it. And when I taught college, if you told once, whoa, that's a really great idea, you set yourself up for a long class because everyone else was looking for that same affirmation. And what they were hearing in their head was, that person's smarter than me, or he doesn't like me,
Well,
and I think we do it all the time without even thinking about it.
100%. And that's where I was going with, like when you said something like our words are so powerful or so impactful or something, and yet I think so often we throw them away as well. Because in some regards you're like, oh yeah, that's an interesting idea, or I value you sharing. If you said, I really love that, it's a great idea, and then the next person shares an idea and you're kind of like, okay, thanks for sharing.
Right.
That person's going to be like, wow, I guess that my idea wasn't that
correct.
good.
Correct.
Why would I ever share another idea again?
And we all do it. And I've seen it countless times. I was introduced at a networking event last night as one of my favorite people. Someone described me as that, to a person that they knew pretty well. And you could see immediately their facial reaction. Like, wow, what's this guy's deal? And it wasn't meant to be a negative. It was just in that context, I hate to say it, but many of us are always competing. We're competing for attention. We're competing for, we're still, as humans, it's survival of the fittest. We try to put that off to the side, but at our core, it's about survival of the fittest. It's about who can, win the race.
Well,
We've gotten way off topic today.
Well, I was thinking about that. And I was also thinking that we all come to it with a different knowledge, experience, and perspective. Correct? Mm-hmm. And so when they make that sort of an introduction, the person you're introducing them could take any inflection, no inflection, as based on their knowledge, experience, and perspective, either of the other person or other situations, and make a judgment on you just by the way that they defined it, or make a judgment around the situation of either like, oh yeah, this really is their favorite person, or they're like, they don't know how else to describe them, but one of my favorite people, and so that let me stay away from Bob because he's a little crazy. They may have a point. No, sorry.
That's fine.
Well, I think it's
what you told me before the program, which, by the way, is a judgment. Now that I think about it, you told me I show up a certain way. That's a judgment.
That was feedback that I thought was helpful. You sort of well. Anyhow, we can move on from that. I think you brought it up initially, and I was confirming your.
Oh, okay.
Your supposition.
Yep, and the fingers are going through the hair.
Yeah, cool. I even did it. All right, everyone.
That's good mirroring.
Yes. I was trying to be supportive of you. So you didn't feel alone. Which might have been a judgment as well.
This is a wild episode. So let's see if we can get to our point.
Wait, can I do my Uh-oh.
Oh. Apparently you don't want me here anymore.
My hand hit the keyboard and it kicked you out.
Go ahead. What's your celebration?
So I'm going to celebrate that tonight. My wife, Liz, who's a college official, has a game that's going to be on TV.
She officiates girls and women's lacrosse at the high levels. She's done World Cup games.
She has.
And who's she doing? What game is she doing tonight?
Virginia Tech, and I got to remember who the other team is. Some other, I think, ACC team. So it's a league game, and so it's on their ACC network.
Okay. Is she going to Christiansburg? Is that where? No, Blacksburg.
Blacksburg, yes.
You going down there with her?
No. I have my own game here tomorrow, so I can't.
Oh, that's right. You have to be back.
So I'm going to watch it on TV. So I'm going to sit down.
What time's the game?
7 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay. And for those of you who don't know, Tom's wife, Liz, is the great voice artist who does our introduction.
Yes, she is.
And mentions my name before her husband's, which I always like every day.
Yes.
It's a good judgment for me. So I see Michael's with us. I see he's got a comment. In pivoting towards restarts or judging your values can be a crucial part of a pathway because it helps you evaluate what is important to you in your business. And I think reflecting on your personal beliefs and principles, you can identify areas of your business that may be misaligned with your values, leading to the need for a restart. Michael, I love that for 3 reasons. 1, it's a lot compressed into a very short amount of space. 2, I like what you're getting at, but most importantly, you got us from our discussion to the topic of the week. I have nothing but mad respect for you this morning for doing that for us. So, Tom, with that as the intro, can you move us pivoting?
Sure. Well, pivoting, is one of those things that you could do before you choose to restart or not at a checkpoint. And I think that's really what this conversation was about. Was we start taking action, and then as we discussed a couple of weeks ago, there's value in having checkpoints where you get to measure your progress and then make a decision about what to do next. And one of those things could be pausing, and then you have the next decision of choosing when to restart. And I think the more we talked about it, the more, to me, the key piece, the key discovery, I think for me was the prioritization and the value of prioritizing things, and also the opportunity to choose what we prioritize, and that we're not stuck with a choice as other things come along. I think sometimes people feel like their number one priority, whatever it is, I can never veer away from that. And I think that's where a lot of times people get stuck, is you get in the one that you hear all the time is the how to find whatever you're looking for in personal and professional. And, there's pressure on people to work more hours, which then puts pressure on them and others to be with their own personal time, whether that's family, friends, kids, whatever the case might be, other activities. And that those two, and they're always looking for balance, which I think is always the interesting thing. And I know we've had that conversation about how I feel about balance. And that just causes friction. And, because we're trying to figure out, I have these competing priorities, and how do I ever choose, even though we truly have a choice? And I think sometimes because we have laid judgments on the value of one thing or the other, that dictates our choice. Or maybe more likely doesn't allow us to choose, doesn't feel like we have a choice. We have to do this. If I don't work more hours, my boss isn't going to be happy with my performance, or might not be happy with my performance, and I might lose my job, and what that might lead to. So I end up prioritizing work over other things that could have, and that's a choice that could have other ramifications as well. And I think that creates a lot of challenge. And so we have to think about what is the priority we have, and how we then choose to restart, how and maybe when we choose to restart or not.
That makes sense. I'm with you. Michael's got a follow-up comment. Smile. In this way, judging your values can inform your pathway to restarts and help you create a business that is not only successful, but also aligned with your personal beliefs and principles. And go ahead, please. No, you.
I just was thinking about it, back to what I said is, I think one of our challenges is prioritizing our values.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there is a little bit of crossover between prioritizing and judging. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes we look at it as judging when we could maybe look at it as prioritizing. We understand what all the values are and how we have chosen to implement them. And the ones that we have prioritized higher, and there might be a competing or conflicting one that might be a little lower, even though it's still a part of us, but it's way down at the bottom because we don't value it as much. And so I think that's a good point. And I think maybe what we're doing is measuring our values and prioritizing them. And then that helps us
if we choose.
If we choose.
Because
And
I
then
haven't
let's-
always. There have been times in my career where my values and principles, but were in second or third place.
Yes.
You
Yeah,
know,
and you did something
I
else
was
you didn't
chasing the
necessarily
dollar,
want.
or I was chasing a raise, or I can think of 2 instances in my career where I put my principles moved to the side out of business considerations that, as I look back, seemed really important at the time, but didn't really, they were tests. So what Michael says here really resonates with me. And as we set up our values, and are they really values if you just talk about them, but if you actually live by them, then they're really something that means something to you, right? I see Michael's got a third comment. It's kind of like Jenga. Jenga's the game where you have the little like blocks and you pull them out and try not to tip it over.
Try to pull them out, yes.
Okay. You stack all your blocks carefully, hoping they'll stay in place. So I didn't read that part. Sorry. But sometimes things don't go as planned and your tower comes tumbling down. That's when you need a pathway to restarts. Michael, where was he on Monday? He could saved us 3 days of discussion. Michael, where are you? So coming up Monday, it'll be the Tom and Michael show. And I will just get out of the way.
Well,
no,
we wouldn't
thank
have
you,
a lot to
Michael.
talk about.
I love that image. That is a really a powerful image to me. That really it
adds value
resonates.
to you. It's impactful for you.
It resonates.
Or you really love it.
No, I didn't say that. I'm trying very hard.
You did say you love it.
Oh, I did. Okay. Apologies.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, I think here's the thing is that if Michael and I were having the conversation, we'd have had clarity around it on maybe Monday or Tuesday, what we have talked about on Wednesday or Thursday. So
You've always
you're
found something.
so the fact that you weren't as clear allowed us, and likely, again, if you're not as clear, there are others who aren't as clear as well. And even I think Michael and I would probably say that the more you talk about things, sometimes the less clear they become. Because things come up that you're like, I hadn't really thought about that. Now I have to rethink it. What about you? What's your discovery of the week, Bob? You haven't shared.
I think my discovery of the week around pathway restarts is that you can pause, and that a pause is not abandoning something. And I kind of looked at when we paused or that restart was completely throwing everything out and trying again. Mm-hmm. And I think what I came to on Wednesday was the idea that we can pause, evaluate the information we've obtained, the knowledge, experience, perspective, applied in a different way, and then move forward at a time that either we choose or that it feels like it's a good time to go forward. And I'm trying it's hard to be careful with the words, it really is. But we have the situation where something comes up. You have a sickness in the family. The age-old problem. You have kids, you have a sickness in the family, and you're supposed to give a presentation that day. No one else can watch the kids. You can't give the presentation. You can't take the kid to the presentation. And that's a pause. And what that causes in the follow-up days is a restart of sorts, because people you're working with, we thought you were going to do the presentation. Can't believe you prioritized your family over this. You've got to restore everything. And I think that's the restart is not always the action. I think it may also be people's reaction to the pause, right? Because you're restarting. If I tell my boss today, I'm not doing that noon presentation, I'm really sorry. I've got a sick mother and she needs me to take her to the hospital. I just can't be there. And he was expecting me to do it. On Monday, we're restarting that relationship. Because that that person may go, wow, he's not as committed as I thought he was. Or, wow, his values align with mine. If my mother was sick, I wouldn't do the presentation. No matter what, that's new knowledge, information, perspective that's going to inform how it goes forward, right?
Yes.
And I didn't realize that until now. So the restart is more global than just I choose to do something in a different way or I choose to go down a different path. It's an ecosystem
Well,
that
it's like,
affects other people and other people affect us. And we could have a restart. You and I could have a restart if you said to me, hey, I'm really sorry. God forbid, I broke my leg at the lacrosse game and I can't run the equipment and I'm just not able to do it. Or you had a concussion. You got hit by a ball and you have a concussion. You can't do the show for a couple days. We've got to restart.
Stuff in the universe.
Well, but we have to restart. Do I do the shows for 3 days without you? Do I get on and say, I'm sorry, Tom's got a concussion? He'll probably be over this crazy judgment thing by Thursday and we'll be back to normal.
Now you're truly wishing that this comes to reality.
I'm not.
It went
I
from
said
like
God
this
forbid
silly...
at the beginning. I said
Yeah.
God forbid.
Yeah, okay. All right.
That's like saying with all due respect, right?
Yeah, right. Or it's kind of like saying but. Sort of.
Who is it? Is it Dwight Schrute that says, I said with all due respect so I can say anything?
I think, yeah. Either him or Michael Scott, one of the two. From
one of them from The Office. Yeah, it's a great line because it's like, yep. Not quite.
Yeah, well, and one of the things I found impactful about this week was that clarity came around cutting the grass or mowing the lawn.
Yes.
It is a fascinating concept of a fairly in-depth topic, and that's where we found clarity. Isn't that interesting?
But that's the most simple example, right? Just like the
Sure.
Jenga is another great simple example that it takes out all the, when you're cutting the grass, it's not about making money. It's not about doing it more efficiently. It's not about 14 people on a team. It's pretty straightforward. Take it from a guy who cut grass for a number of years and timed myself. You can't shave that much time. You just can't.
Did you ever try running?
No.
You're a runner. You didn't try running?
I was one of those people that would cut the grass as fast as the mower would go, and there were times when I exceeded the speed with which the mower could do its work, and it gets really ugly.
And you feared that you were so fast that it would really make an ugly cut? If you don't know what we're talking about with the whole lawnmower, cutting the grass, mowing the lawn,
go back to yesterday, right?
Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday.
So
Wednesday's
episode 779.
Very good. Oh, shoot. Dude.
I'm on fire with the episodes today.
You got it going on. All right, everyone. If you have a discovery that you would like to share, please feel free for sharing it. Michael, thanks so much for sharing yours.
Yes,
we appreciate your value. And I am sure not only will it have an impact on us, it'll have impact on someone else who may not reply and let you know that how impactful it was. It's wonderful when we put things out in the universe and people get a chance to discover them. So anyone else who'd like to share their thoughts and ideas, please feel free to put them in the comments. If you're listening to the podcast, we know there's no place to comment. So jump in and join us inside the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, and you can share your thoughts and ideas there. And you might discover some other things that might help you figure out how to take your next step along your own unique pathway to success. When you're feeling stuck, frustrated, uncertain, in the middle of a pause, trying to figure out whether I restart, pivot, course adjust, or stay the course. All those things and more. So we look forward to seeing you inside our Ring of Renegades Facebook group. If not, we'll see you Monday morning, 7 a.m. Eastern time, for our next episode of Today's Antidote. Go out and enjoy the day.
There it is. All right. I was curious. That's a shift. I like it. Hey, embrace the renegading you. Whatever you do today and this weekend, embrace the renegading you. That's all I can say. Simple.
And it's not a judgment, I don't believe.
No, you're a renegade. We're all renegades. No judgment there.
Awesome. All right, everybody. We will see you soon. Thanks for listening to Today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.